Hey guys, what's up? Dr. Rossi here. So in this video, what I'm going to talk about is the truth about going to Caribbean medical schools and some of the harsh realities that you might face if you're thinking about going to a Caribbean medical school such as St. George's or Ross. Now, obviously, I went to St. George's, I completed the program and graduated, so I can comment on that, and I still believe that that's the best place to go. But what really prompted this for me was a friend of mine's daughter is actually started there first term. And I think there's just some common misconceptions and things that people believe to be true about these schools. And then when they get there, they're absolutely shocked by how challenging it is, how difficult it is to live on a Caribbean island, and some of the other challenges that you might face as a student. So if you like the videos, if you enjoy this, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll go ahead and crack right into it. Okay, so the first big misconception about attending Caribbean medical school is that somehow, because it's a Caribbean school, because they accept anybody with a pulse and anybody that can pay, of course, that it's somehow easier. That this schooling process, the grading, the classes, all of that is somehow going to be easier. Now, that's a very, very bad misconception to have, and when you get there, you will be surprised. And it will be, honestly, a kick in the nuts, and you really won't be prepared for it at all. So the truth of the matter is that that's not true at all. If anything, it was far more strenuous and far more difficult than my friends and other people that I knew that attended American schools. So there, immediately when you get there, there's a lot of pressure put on you to be very good, to do really well in the classes, and everything, including your first term, is based off of a mean weighted GPA, meaning that if you don't maintain a certain percentage in your courses, you will be first put on like a probationary period where, of course, you get to try to, remediate, do better, improve your scores, etc. But eventually you will be kicked out if you don't make it. And if you fail classes, you only get, I think at the time I was there, it was one decel. You could decel one class and come back and take that class at a future date. So it's not easier in any way, shape, or form. Honestly, if anything, there's more pressure and it's more difficult because the material you're learning is similar to what anybody else in any other medical school is learning, only you're doing it in an environment where you got 1,000 other people with you in one class. So it's not as personalized, and it can be really a difficult situation when you're faced with that, and if you're not prepared for it. So do not go in with the misconception that somehow Caribbean medical school, oh, it's easy and I'm just going to kind of skate through. Obviously they accept anybody, simple process, because that is not the case at all, and you will likely fail out. I know plenty of people that failed out, and I know plenty of people who ended up going to different Caribbean schools because, St. George's wasn't for them. They couldn't hack it. They couldn't make it happen. And, some of those people went on to get residencies and things like that and graduate other schools. But the truth was, like, they couldn't hack it at the school that I went to. So be prepared for that. Do not go in with that misconception, because like I said, my friend's daughter, I think, might have had that idea. Hey, this is Caribbean, it's going to be easy. Truth is that is completely false. It's ridiculously hard. So be prepared. Alright, so the second big misconception that I see commonly is that somehow the Caribbean medical school's curriculum is not as rigorous or not as good as other medical schools' curriculums. And that I did not find to be true at all, in particular during those first 2 years. So the first 2 years of basic sciences, I thought were in many cases, like I said in the previous portion, more difficult, more intensive, more information than what you might get in some other cases. And again, a lot of my friends had pass-fail things for their first year. We had nothing like that. You always had to maintain a proper mean-weighted GPA, and you were always, everything was being judged off of your grades and such. So it was a really, really pressure cooker kind of situation to score the best you can, to do everything you could to be successful there. As far as the curriculum goes, I thought that although there's a lot of students, so like I had 1,000 people, I think, that started in my class, which for most people, when you hear medical school, that's ridiculous. I mean, like maybe US schools, I've heard like 200, maybe 250 in some of the bigger ones. But for the most part, like you're talking usually like about 100 people, 150 people. Or less even in some cases. So this whole thing to me was very shocking. But what I will say is that places like St. George's, they've been doing this for a long time. They know how to train big groups of people. They know how to put the courses together. They know how to provide you with the resources you need to be successful. And I always felt, honestly, greatly supported during that period as well. So the first 2 years, there was plenty of extra help. There were plenty of resources. There were plenty of people to give you the things you needed to be successful. So I thought that was a really big benefit of going to a place like St. George's versus going to some of these other places that may or may not have access to those kind of resources. It may be more difficult for you at that point. So that was a big point for me. But as far as like your education goes, as far as preparing you to take step one, I would put St. George's to the test against any school, including Ivy League schools and all these other places that people say are so much better, because what you got there and the way the training was, it was difficult, it was challenging, and you were pushed every single day to be a little bit better. So I don't think there was any inferiority when it came to the curriculum or to learning the material. All right, and another major misconception, the final one I want to touch on here, and we can talk more about this in other videos and future references, but what I really want to say is people all think, and when I was telling them, oh, I'm going to St. George's, it's in this country called Grenada, it's a beautiful Caribbean island, what I found was people were like, oh, you're so lucky, you're going to live in a Caribbean island, it's going to be so much fun all the time, and the reality of all of that was that it was not fun at all for me. I was always working, I was always pushing, I was always trying to get better. So there was very little time for me to work, to enjoy the island. Now, of course I did. I took my breaks. I went to the beach. I toured the island once or twice. You know, I saw some of the interesting sights, ate at some of the good restaurants, went to some of the cool hotels. But at the end of the day, it was mostly me in my room or in the library or wherever you like to study. I personally like to study at home, but other people have different strategies. They feel more distracted at home. I was working. I was doing my thing. I was trying to be the best goddamn medical student I could be. So like living on that Caribbean island, it didn't matter if it was like Alaska. It did not matter to me whatsoever. So it's not like you're just chilling out on the beach and, you know, people are surfing while they're talking about anatomy. It's not like that at all. Again, very rigorous, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things that you have to do as a student. So there's no way it was at all enjoyable. And if you do choose to go to one of these schools, make sure that when you have your winter break and you have your summer break, take the breaks, leave the island. Do not stay there under any circumstances, because you will feel way more burnt out staying there over the course of like a Christmas holiday or or your summer break. Just get out of Dodge, get home, see your family, see your friends, and recharge your batteries. It's extremely important and vital to your success there. So anyway, I'm gonna button it up right there. Those are just some of the things that come to mind. Like, I don't think people are being completely real about it when they're choosing these things. I don't think when people talk about it, they're being completely honest. So from my perspective, those are some of the things I saw. If anyone wants to talk more about it, you can like the video, comment, and you know, please subscribe to the channel. Help me to kind of grow this thing. Help me to figure out what is interesting for you guys and what is helpful. And I'm open to covering any topic. So, you know, and I'll be as real can get. No phony bullshit from me. So let me know, and good luck out there.